Hey everybody, it's Mike Copera with podcastcondition.com. Can't quite get my screen to pop that up right there on the bottom, but I assure you that we'll try to get that fixed. But so far it's just Brandon and I for our 61st episode of What You Drinking. How you doing today, Brandon?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing, Mike?
I'm pretty excited. It's close to the end of the week. I'm going camping this weekend, which means there will be beer and because let's just be honest, you're just sleeping on the ground outside if you don't have beer. It's not camping. It's just you're outside. But to complete the whole package, you have to have some beers, and obviously that's not true. But for anyone who can drink beer and should be drinking beer, you should be doing that. So it's a weird way to start the show. I just realized. But hey, I've got. I just want to mention our sponsor for the week, as we always do. It's a local beer shop here in Chicago called Puerto Rico Food and Liquors. They're located at 2559 West Augusta here in Chicago, Illinois. And feel free to give them a call. They're always adding new products to their shelves, and I'm actually not even there enough to see what they've got. Because I used to live like right over there, but I'm actually a little bit further now. So I talk to Junior occasionally, and I get his email updates that he usually sends out for whatever he's getting in stock. So, but you can get in touch with their store at 773-342-2678. They are on Facebook. They are on Twitter at PRFL2559, and then, like I always say every week, their beer menus page is probably the best and most updated, source to find out what they've got without having to call in. So, so that takes care of the business end of things, and we were also joined in the middle of that by Skylar. Thanks for joining us, Skylar. How are you doing today?
Doing great. How are you guys?
Good. I'm good, man. We're excited. We've got a style that we've done before in the past, but I think it's been a while.
Yeah.
So. It's a good one, man. It's starting to warm up around here. The air's actually off. We had a almost 90-degree day over the weekend, and that was, of course, when our air conditioning went out. But it's been since fixed, and our temperature has dropped. But it's time to start drinking the lighter beers, the lagers, the cold fermenting beers that take a little bit longer to make, but damn, they're worth it. If you've got a good one and it hasn't been bastardized by a huge corporation. So I'll let you guys start out. Brandon, what you drinking, man? What kind of, did you have a Pilsner for us this week, or is it?
I do. I said this beer is Save Our Shore from Abita. This is actually they call it a Weizen Pils because they brew with wheat and Pilsner malt. And for every bottle sold, Abita donates 70 cents to the rescue and restoration of the environment. Industry individuals helping to survive the oil spill and stuff like that. So it was just also for coastal restoration and things like that. So it's definitely craft beer for a good cause, and also economically priced. They don't go overboard with the bomber prices. So there you go.
Nice, man. That sounds good. I've never seen that before. Is that something you see occasionally, or is that kind of a one-off thing for the raising the money of the charity there?
Occasionally you see it. They brew it on and off. They don't brew it all the time. And the stuff that the bombers the stuff they put in bombers that they brew around would be the Andy Gator and the Abbey Ale. Save Our Shore they brew every once in a while. So that's really about it.
Nice, man.
Over here, it's really good.
That's cool. What do you have there, Skylar?
Well, I'm going local for my area as well. I grabbed a St. Arnold Summer Pils because it just got in season, and it's freshly brewed. It is great, super, super light Pilsner. Just clean, crisp, perfect balance between the hops and malt. And like you were saying earlier, Pilsner is probably one of the most bastardized styles in brewing. Everyone thinks a Pilsner is one of those American adjunct lagers when really a Pilsner can be really full-flavored and just delightful. And this one...
Yeah. There's a brewery here in the Chicago area. It's a suburb of Chicago, like in the southwest neighborhood, but it's called called the Flossmoor Station. You can actually get to it by train, and it pulls up, and it looks like it's been renovated from the older train station, so they kind of built a brewery inside it. It's shaped like a train car, but they have really good beers. But they had an Imperial Pilsner once that I think it was up to like 7 or 8%, and I've never had more flavor in a Pilsner in my entire life. So that's a really good example of how a good version of that beer is not what people should look down upon, because it's just another style of beer that's out there, and there's tons of different kinds. I was kind of looking into it a little bit more to see where it started, and I always thought it was Germany, but it turns out they kind of took a good idea and innovated with it and went with it. But before we kind of get into that, hey Mike, what's going on? Thanks for joining us. How you doing?
How are you?
Good. You're an hour ahead of us, so it's kind of getting late by you. We actually still have a little bit of light, but I can tell it looks like nighttime over there.
Yeah, it is. It's dark. It's dark. Yeah. Even in this early June, late sundown thing, it's still kind of dark. Thanks for having me on again. Happy to be here.
Man. Of course. We spun Pilsners last week, so did you find yourself with one, or did you have to go with a different style?
No, I think I probably have the same thing that you have. It's the Jack Savvy Sunny Ridge.
That is exactly what I've got. Yep. I haven't had it yet, so did we have that one when we were there? I can't remember.
No, we did not. And I think we didn't see it at the brewery either, because I think they had already taken it off. They'd already run out of what they had, and they had moved on to the next seasonal that they have. So I haven't even opened it yet, because I'm still working on my pre-show beer. I have I don't know, is it okay to talk about this pre-show?
Absolutely. You don't even have to have the right style, so please. Come on, man. What do you have?
It's all right. I'll come back to me when I get to the Pilsner, but for right now, this is the remnants of a pale ale. It's from Trillium. It's one of Trillium's beers that they always have on. It's the 4-Point Pale Ale. This is a special edition, though, because it's been double dry hopped, so it's quite a bit hoppier than their traditional 4-Point Pale Ale, which is pretty hoppy to begin with. But it's a delicious beer, and this version of it is also really, really good. So once I get through this one, then I'll flip to the beer of the night here.
Sounds good, man. Trillium is spreading word. I texted you earlier this week. Excuse me. I was at Half Acre getting tonight's beer, but earlier in the week I was there as well to have a different beer besides this one, because let's be honest, this isn't going to last a whole hour. So so I went back today. But when I was there this Sunday, I was talking to one of the managers there, who said that they're doing a collaboration. First of all, I can't remember if this is one. No, they did a session pale ale with the Maine Brewing Company, which I've had a couple of their beers. The Mean Old Tom, I think I've had. The label is amazing. If anyone has access to the internet right now, feel free to jump on the blog for Half Acre's website, and they've got a picture of what would be the label if this was a bottled beer. I don't even know if they're bottling it or if it's just going to be on tap. I can't remember what the email said, but it looks just like a Maine Brewing Company label. It's nice and plain. It's got a little face on it, or it's a tiny little touches on their bottles that is kind of cool. But they knew of because they said they're coming out with a saison. And I said, oh, that's great. I just had a really good saison from a brewery that's kind of getting some a lot of notoriety and a lot of recognition for their saisons. And I said, he goes, man, I just got a Trillium. Someone just gave me one, so I've got it in the fridge. He's like, I can't wait to open it right now. He's like, I think I might open it this week. But yeah, so I was like, hey, that's kind of cool. So I texted you that I had heard that, and So yeah, I am a big fan of that brewery, man. All the beers that you gave me from them were amazing. They even had a really good oatmeal porter that I had last night. We both love that one. So they do a really good job, and I look forward to them expanding because right now they're just a tap room, right?
Yes, that's right. They just started bottling maybe a month, 2 months ago, and so there's a few different stores that have bottle shops that carry their beer, but it's pretty limited at the moment.
Cool. Talk a little bit about Jack's Abbey. We went there, and it's I forget the name of the town. I'm sorry.
It's in Natick.
Framingham.
Oh, Framingham, yeah.
Yeah. So they're all lagers, correct?
Right, right. And I mean, I haven't looked closely at this one yet, but it's a Pilsner. It's a Pilsner with some lager influence. So yeah, maybe a little unique, but yeah, that's their specialty is lagers, and they do a pretty good job of it, I'd have to say.
Yeah. Everything we had there, even their was it a smoked? Or no, I had a sour too, wasn't it?
Yeah, the one that had cherries in it, wasn't it? It was like a cherry.
Yes.
I
I had to
forget.
buy a bomber of that, and I didn't take it home for the flight. It was gone before this
It
evening.
didn't make it.
I don't know. I don't think it lasted 4 hours. It was gone. But it's a great brewery, and everything. Their flights were cool. The way they contained them were neat. They had copper fittings all soldered together in a cool little, like a little carrier with a handle and everything. But it was cool. I liked the vibe of the place. It's not a colorful place. It's kind of it reminds me very much of just Irish, Boston. It's very Boston,
Definitely.
it's a cool place. So yeah, go. You've been there more than I have. So
Yeah, only one other time besides when I went with you. So, but yeah, you're right. It's a big building. It's a huge building, but the tasting room that they have there is relatively small given the size of the rest of the place. I didn't really notice any seats. I think it was just a bar you could walk up to, and then there was a bar on the back wall that you could stand by, and yeah, it was.
barrels everywhere, right?
What's that?
They had some barrels everywhere too to kind of put your drinks down and kind of lean on.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And then yeah, it's not flashy. It was pretty plain, and yeah, it's kind of what you would expect in like a New England or Irish pub or something. That it's just about the beer, and
You could just
Here.
melted. I don't know what you call it, carrier with like four 4-ounce, 5-ounce glasses or something that they stick in the carrier. So it was kind of a neat presentation. But yeah, it was your usual brewery. I mean, the people there are very knowledgeable about the beer. They were very into it, and it wasn't too busy when we got there. We probably got there around like 2 o'clock, 2:30 or so, but definitely was getting pretty packed by the time we left. An hour and a half later. So they're doing pretty well. They do a good business, and I'm not sure where they distribute, but they're definitely growing.
Yeah, it was a cool little place, and definitely glad I was able to check it out. So thank you for taking me there. It's like I said, it's all about the beer. Like you said, it's all about the beer there, and they were nice and friendly, and like you said, knowledgeable about the beers as well. So that it was cool. So cheers on that, and thank you for taking me. It's a good beer, man. It's very well balanced. It's really malty, but it's really clean, and it's got a lot of the bubbles are nice and small, and it's very very airy. It's a good beer, but I also got a growler of something from Half Acre this afternoon while I had a couple hours in between getting home from work and doing the show. I said I knew they had a really good Pilsner that they normally do the Pony Pilsner, which is canned in 4-packs, and it's a pretty popular beer, but they've been barrel aging it in gin, and I'm not usually a big gin guy, but it's amazing. So I had to pick up some for the for the show. So I'll be opening that after this has been gone. But it's typically served in like either a mug like this or your Pilsner glass or what have you. Obviously, you can drink it out of whatever you like, but that's typically the style that of glassware that those take. But yeah, it's a cool style. Everyone always probably, I would say a lot of people would assume that this is a style that originated from Germany, but it's not. It came from the Czech Republic.
Mm-hmm.
A cool thing that I learned is that I guess what happened was that the quality of their beer had been so iffy, and pretty much people were just dumping out barrels of beer in the street in disgust because of it. So the city of Pilsner just they decided to hire a bunch of expert brewers to figure out what to do, and they were able to get their hands on a Bavarian strain of yeast that was a bottom fermenting, because typically they've always been brewing top fermenting yeast beers, and they didn't quite understand what yeast was doing, and they kind of got a little bit more knowledge about it, and that's when they decided to go with that bottom fermenting yeast. And so basically, the one cool thing that I learned that was awesome was that the original brewery that made that first Pilsner was it's now what is known as Pilsner Urquell, because Urquell actually means original source. So that was a cool little fact that I didn't know. But then basically it was kind of being a very popular beer and being right kind of on the border. The Germans kind of heard about this new style of beer and kind of took it on their own, and basically, I wouldn't even say go in a different direction. They kind of, I don't know, does anyone know much of the main differences between the Czech style or the German style? Is there much?
There's quite a history behind it, and as you say, they went to get inspired by Germany's bottom fermenting lagers and took the yeast back from there. But the Pilsner itself, what set the Pilsner apart in terms of lager was the water quality. There's just the minerals in the water in Pilsner. It's very hard to replicate. And so Germany got a taste of it, and they were like, oh, now that's a beer. And so Germany's the Bavarian answer to that is the Helles or Maibach style. So yeah, that's a good one too. But you can't beat a Pilsner that's well done, and it is a hard, difficult beer to brew correctly because there is no area for error. If it's not clean tasting, if it's got some of that popcorn or butterscotch weirdness in there from the diactyl, it ain't gonna work. A very, very hard style to brew, but when done right, it's fantastic.
And a lot of breweries don't do them because they take longer to produce.
Oh yeah, they take a lot longer because you have to deal with lagering and all that. I've only done it 3 or 4 times before myself.
How's it turned out?
I've been lucky. I'm very meticulous on how I brew things, and I've done really good. I've only done a Pilsner once, but I've done other lagers. I've done a Helles. I've done Kolsch, all that stuff. But the Pilsner was my favorite. That one was incredible.
Yeah, I've never done a lager or any sort of bottom fermenting beer yet, so that would be interesting. How much longer of a time is it? Because it's 2-3 weeks for
month.
It's like a month.
Months, multiple months. Because you have to deal with fermenting in colder temperatures, which takes a lot longer. That also means because the yeast are less active, you have to have a metric ton of yeast compared to what you would have in an ale. You have to have a very, very large cell count, tens and tons of billions of cells of yeast to make it work. And then after that, you've got to bring them into room temperature right at the right moment to let the diactyl settle out, bring it back into lagering, make it colder, and then wait and wait and wait for it to get ignition and clear up, and it's a pain, but it's fun at the same time, I guess, if you know what you're doing.
That's got to be such a pain in the ass if a lot of the yeast have become inactive and you got to try to get them going again. I've seen that on TV shows with breweries where they have to.
Yeah.
I actually don't remember what they actually did, but they have to introduce something into the beer to try to get the yeast going again, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I would assume it's
with lagers. If it goes inactive, you're pretty much screwed.
That's what I figured.
But yeah, it's all about being very meticulous about what you're doing, and turns out great. But yeah, just having the temperature control. For me, I don't have, I'm just in a small apartment, so whenever I don't have beers on tap on my keg or my kegerator, I'll use that as a fermentation chamber. But there's not a lot of times I have it empty.
That's a good idea, though. How long have you been brewing?
A few years now, 2 or 3. Yeah, I would say about 3 years.
Now, did you ever take any classes, or did you just go straight to the books and try to pay as unit?
I was kind of lucky. I was one of those guys who, at high school parties and stuff, I didn't like the taste of beer. I thought it was complete crap, and I thought I could do better. So I did a lot of research. I'm one of those guys who does a lot of research. And then I ended up getting lucky and getting a job at a brewery, and so I kind of developed my skill from there. Learned a lot about recipe making and helping other people out, and kind of, having free range to try different things that a lot of people don't get to.
Yeah, you seem to have a lot of input and participation in the recipe that you guys did for the Share a beer. What was that, about a year ago or so?
Yeah, that's about a year ago now.
Yeah, that was a hangover the next day after that episode, because I think that went like 2-3 hours.
It went 3 hours, and then even then we had the after show. And
I stayed on for the after show, and I came down, and my wife was like, "That was so long," and to me it felt like I was up there for a half an hour just joining on the end of the show. She's like, "You were gone for 2 hours." She's like, "You've been up there drinking all night." I was like, I had no idea what time it was. It flew by, and yeah, we were all drinking some pretty heavy stuff. But you guys had a chance to try all the different versions of that very beer that you guys all brewed. So that was a really cool idea.
Yeah, it's something that was pretty new and interesting. I don't think it had been done before, at least on a small homebrewer scale through different states, and then using Google Plus to kind of organize the event. I think that was a first.
I don't see why you guys shouldn't do it again. Well, yeah, I mean, Zach's probably a little busy, but which I do want to mention. So I'm gonna look up a little information, but I'll let Matt go ahead and talk a little bit since he's not joining us. Thanks for joining, Matt.
And Matt actually had your feed on at about a 7-second delay. So however you introduced me, I don't know what question you were asking me there. So I had your YouTube feed in my earphones, and then you're asking me that. So as soon as I turned that off, you said, "Go, Matt."
Oh, no, I was just saying I'm about to look up some information about
bring it.
Somebody that we know that is opening a brewery as of this month. So I just wanted to talk about the details on that, and I was going to pull up that information while I allowed you to say hello. And
I don't know who else had a Pils, what anyone else was drinking. Hopefully someone's got Pilsner or Kel, right? I mean...
It's been discussed.
Because that is the Pilsner. I mean,
I thought Brandon was gonna pull out the Pilsner Urquell, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go with the Summer Pils from.
I'm very excited. I did not think much of that beer at first, and I've come to find that I think it was pretty well light struck. The 2 bottles that I had, and now they have they ship to the U.S. in a closed cardboard package to keep the light off of it as much as they can. And if you're in the right areas, I don't know where those areas are, but if you're in the right areas, they also ship in cans to help with the light struck. But those green bottles that so many big breweries like are just ruining the delicate European hops that are present in there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I actually went to Trogs today and did a brewery tour, and I brought home two cans of their Sunshine Pills. Never had this before.
Awesome. I've never seen that, or I've never seen that can or heard of the beer actually.
This is their summer release, and I think this is one of the first few they can. I think they're new to the canning line here the last year or so, but. Go ahead and skip the tour if you're ever in Hershey, PA, because it was pretty miserable. We had a cut and paste tour guide who read the script just perfectly as fast as he possibly could. I mean, it was just two of us from Craft Beer Nation that were there, and we already knew what a Bright Tank was, and we already knew some of their lineup, and he just wouldn't come off script and talk to us. It was just a run from one location to the other, and then we tasted a few of their mainline beers. We did get to taste one of their stouts off of their fermentation tank. But anyway, this is their summer pills. Wait, what's it called? It's called Sunshine Pills, and this thing is just exactly what you'd want a lagered beer to be. It is perfectly clear. I mean, perfectly clear. Way down in the SRM, 2, maybe 3, and the carbonation is effervescent. Lots of no, not lots, but a pleasant amount of the European hops, noble hops in the aroma.
It's a good head of foam on that too. It looks.
Yeah, I got a little excited. I got a little excited coming out of the can there, I think.
It's a good looking beer.
Yeah, yeah, it's essentially a hopped up lager. I mean, that's what the Pilsner was a more bitter version of some of the other lagers. So it is hoppy. It's not terribly crisp. I think some of that is I couldn't wait. I got it in the fridge and then the show came on, so it's not as cold as I would normally make a lawnmower beer, which is what I would consider a light-bodied lager like this to be. But there is pleasant malt there. There is some of those characteristics that you'd expect in a cleanly fermented lager. There's absolutely no diacetyl. No, none of that butterscotch stuff that you can get if it's not well attenuated. And interestingly, I found in the tour today, cut me off whenever you've got your friends thing going there. I'm just going to keep rambling. I found out in the tour today that Trogs, they lager all of their ales. Well, they cold crash it, and then force carb everything. And so our tour guide proceeded to tell us that cold crashing and lagering was the same thing, and I didn't. By this time, I was pissed enough at him that I didn't want to argue. But they drop their ales when fermentation stops. They drop their ales to get the sediment to settle out of it to help with the filtering process, and then they do that for 1 week. But the lagers, they lager for 2 weeks, which sometimes can be kind of a short time. Typically you'll leave something on the yeast for 4 weeks or 6 weeks, and I think there's a formula 1 week for every 10 points in OG or something like that. But I don't think that's probably nearly enough. But the end product here is, however they've blended it or watered it down or whatever they've done to it, I don't get any of those. Some of those off flavors that you get when you rush the lagering process.
Yeah, it looks great. So it's an interesting way to do it. I hate those tours though, like you were mentioning that where they kind of really don't know what they're talking about and they're just being trained to say certain things.
And he did study the manual well, because there were a couple of things that he didn't address, and when we asked him, what hops do you use on this beer, he rattled them right off. So I mean, he had a good memorization, a good recall on some of the specifics of the beer, but he didn't seem very interested in one of the guys, the guy that I was with, Gil Mello. He's very interested in the RO. They've got a big reverse osmosis process machine there, and that can do chemistry to make water that tastes like Burton-on-Trent, and they can do so much to their water on the beginning of the process to impact the flavor in the end. And I asked like one question on the RO machine, and he's like, "Okay, everybody down here, everybody." It was two of us, and we were looking.
That's hilarious. There's just the two of you.
Yeah, he's like waving us on. So, so we got a pint glass. It was a $5 tour, and we walked out of there with a shaker pint. As if that's not an insult to the beer snob in me, but the glassware snob in me. But it was worth going and visiting with a friend, but it was not worth. It was not worth. You could get a better brewery tour from YouTube.
Gotcha. Well, thanks for that story, because I love hearing about which breweries to check out, which ones kind of aren't worth going on the tour for. Because if you know about beer, you're pretty much going to get the spiel. But
right,
there's some really good tours out there, like the one in Wisconsin. There's Lakefront Brewing. And that is a hard tour to get on. Every weekend they do it. They do like 2 or 3 tours on a Saturday, and there's usually a line at about noon for like the 3 o'clock tour. So you've got to get there early. Hey, buddy. And
got some wild breath there.
Yeah, a little bit. She was like munching on some food earlier, and I'm like, that's all anyone's gonna hear. It's gonna be an awesome show. So. But anyways, what I was mentioning before is that we've had Zach on the show before, but Zach Christopherson is starting. He's a common participant of the Share a Beer show that Brandon is on with Joe D on Tuesday nights. I've been on it a few times. It's pretty much that and Matt, your show has been both kind of an inspiration of doing this. So I watch that show occasionally, and as well. And Zach is starting a brewery in Colorado this month, actually. So I wanted to mention it. He didn't ask me to do this, but it's he's been on the show. It's been probably about a year. I think he was like on episode 17 or something like that, kind of giving us the plan, and it's been going on forever, and it's finally happening. He's opening this month on June 21st. Information he gave me, he said they're going to have all 6 flagship beers. They're going to have 4 summer seasonals and a 6 small batch of brews that they couldn't pass up on putting out there for the big day. So that's going to be 16 beers available on their opening day, and so come on down. It's Saturday is the 21st, so it's a Saturday and Sunday. So anyone in the Colorado area, man, go there and check out Chain Reaction Brewing. Their address is 902 South Lipan Lipan Street in Denver, Colorado. So. Zach, congratulations if you're watching this or if you ever see this, because I consider you a friend through Share a Beer, and you've been on the show before. So anyone in the Colorado area that watches this ever, feel free to check them out. I'm very excited to see. Are they going to do what they were talking about? Brandon, do you know? Has he mentioned on Share a Beer whether they're going to do a live feed in the brewery during the opening day, so that people on Google Plus that are fans of him and have known him through Share a Beer, are they going to be able to watch that?
I don't know if they're going to do that or not. It's one of those things where it's just, I don't know. I haven't really heard one way or the other. So I know Joe D said he was going up there. So
is he? Oh, that's cool.
I know I
That's
can't
awesome.
make it up there because that's 9 days for it to fit my dissertation. So it's just I've got more important things to do than travel to Colorado.
Yeah, I hear you. I wish I could go too. First of all, I just love Colorado anyways. It's just a beautiful state. But especially in the area, because that is like the Denver area, right? I said Denver, didn't I? Okay, yeah, I couldn't remember if he was just outside of the city or not. But
Right, I'm in the middle of it.
Awesome. So you were there, right?
Yeah. It's gonna be good. I'll probably I might be able to go up, so we'll see.
Are you really?
But
Nice, man.
yeah, it's exciting because he promised me he would let me brew on his system, so that's one thing I'm looking
make him
forward
live
to.
up to it now.
I remember he said that. That's awesome. And yeah, another guy from Sharebeard, AJ's starting a brewery too, man. He's gonna.
AJ's Brewery is awesome, and I actually I've already done a collaboration beer with him. It was a prickly pear porter, and it was apparently their greatest beer they've ever brewed. I still haven't tried it yet because I was there to brew it, and then I came back down. I haven't tried it yet, but
He didn't send you any?
no, he's getting married in October. I was like, well, I'll pick it up when I go up there for the wedding. So I'm excited. He has 2 bottles left, but we'll have to rebrew it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take the recipe, brew it down here, and see if I can make it as good as we made it on his large brewery equipment. So
That's awesome, man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just started this. I put the growler away already, but this is the Pony Pilsner from Half Acre. It's canned normally in 4-packs in 16-ounce cans, but it is this is the same beer, but it has been barrel aged in gin barrels. So,
Ooh.
man, it is good. I just like I was saying before, I'm not a big gin guy, but I dig this. This is so good. I had it in just like a taster on Sunday, and I was like, I want that for the show on Wednesday. It's so good. So
Does it just give it a little bit of the spice from the juniper and all that?
yeah, there's a lot of that. It's almost all spice. It's crazy. It doesn't taste like the same original beer really much anymore. There's a very large amount of like smell of exactly what you're talking about, the juniper and the spices and.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you have such a subtle beer as the base, it wouldn't take much of that to really carry over it.
You're right. That makes sense.
There's a brewery in Pennsylvania, Victory, and I think they actually distribute pretty widely now. But they've got their pills is called Prima Pills, and I had to go all the way to Nashville to get that for the first time here a couple of weeks ago. But that's pretty remarkable, and they take an American take on the Pilsner. They try to stick to the body, the SRM, those kind of things. They turn everything up to 11, and there's lots of great aromas and flavor in that. And that was kind of like the standard for me. That was the American achievable, Pilsner. I think Heavy Seas makes a good one. They call it Uber Pills. I think Uber Pills is their Pilsner. But then I had a friend who isn't typically a hophead, and he's into lagers and European ales, and he got me hooked on this fresh cut from Peak Organic Brewing, and I think they're in Vermont or New Hampshire or something. And this thing is a dry hopped Pilsner, and it delivers on aroma and hop presence. I think the thing must be 90 IBUs or something. It's the bitterest Pilsner. They really bastardized this style. They kind of went for a big beer, a big flavored beer. But it's technically a Pilsner, and if I had any more of them in the fridge, I'd drink one now.
Nice. Yeah, I was actually I as a gift I received the complete beer course boot camp for beer geeks. It's a pretty cool book, and there's an entire section on that beer that you just mentioned from Victory. So I haven't quite gotten a chance to read that yet, but it's all about that particular beer. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, so you just recently started getting that distributed to you, or how did you get your hands on it?
I was in Nashville for a business thing for my day job that pays for my beer habit, and when in Rome, you find all the beer bars you can, and I found a place that said craft beer, but it was like Blue Moon this and and that kind of stuff. And their very dark ale was a mild, like a Belgian double or something. But anyway, that was on their menu, and it made it pretty simple. So.
Well, it's pretty easily available here in Chicago. So if you do any beer trading.
And it'd probably be easier for me to drive to Pennsylvania. I think they're just in Lancaster, PA. They're pretty close to where I was today at Troves.
Forgot about that. That's true. Hey, Kevin, what's going on? How you doing?
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're doing very well. We've got some good beers here so far,
Right.
So glad you could join us. Appreciate it. What you drinking there?
Well, this is funny, but the rain thwarted my my usual beer trip to get the right style of beer today, and then I didn't leave work in time to pick up beer, so I have no lager. The only thing I had in the house was some leftover Coors Light from the St. Patrick's Day party, and there were 2 MGD out in the garage from last summer. So I thought that was against the spirit of the show, so I grabbed an ale. Or a margarita.
I was totally looking forward to your in-depth review of Miller Lite.
Me too.
No, I decided I'd rather just go off style.
Or just get a
I don't have
knife,
to talk about
get a knife and shotgun it from the can. That would be.
Can we add year-old Pilsner that was sitting in a
to the wheel.
the wheel?
That's a good idea.
It
See how well it ages in the can.
it probably froze and then thawed, given this.
It's true. So what ale do you have then?
This is the Great Lakes Rye of the Tiger.
It's an IPA.
So it's a rye IPA.
Nice.
It's let's see, it's 7.5. It's definitely got the rye taste. That's the most pronounced taste, is that sort of spicy rye, but it's still pretty bitter. It's a pretty good one. Sometimes I like rye beers. Sometimes I think they're just okay. This is a pretty good one. If I'm in the mood to have a hoppy rye beer, this is a good one. I had a couple earlier. I had a 6-pack of this in the fridge from the weekend, and I enjoyed it. I just picked it up because, I generally like the Great Lakes stuff, and it was one I had never had before. That was pretty much the only reason I picked it up.
I haven't had that one yet either. So this is your first sip of all?
No, I had another bottle over the weekend, and it was pretty good. Although I did just have a sip of this one.
It looks good.
That is pretty good.
Cool. Did you make it to Solemn Oath Fest? That was going
No,
on
isn't
in
it funny
April,
that when you texted me, I don't know, I was at Home Depot or something, running chores for the weekend, but what are the chances? How did I not hear about this? I talk with people who live in Naperville and know the beer scene here, which is Solemn Oath.
Yeah. So was that their first year anniversary or their second?
That had to be at least their second.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know why? Is because the first episode of Whatcha Drinking, I was supposed to come with a growler full from Solemn Oath, and that was definitely over a year ago.
That's right. Yeah.
But no, we missed. And you know what? I never really looked at, other than going on the site when you texted me and saw that it was Saturday. I never got a chance to go back actually. I'll have to see if there's any accounts of how good it was. I don't know how I missed that.
I know. It looked like fun. So Solemn Oath is a brewery in Naperville, Illinois. It's they do a lot of bombers, pretty much strictly bombers as far as retail, but they do a lot of good stuff on the home front with their growler fills and stuff. But their tasting room's cool. Have you been there since the two of us were last there?
I've probably been there a couple times because I've been there. I was there once with you and probably 2 or 3 other times. Sometimes just to fill up growler and go home. But it was it's just a cool place. It's just a brewery.
Has it changed much, or is it?
No, exact same as when you and I were there.
Cool. Well, I was reading a story about. Well, first of all, this kind of spawned about a texting conversation that I was having with Dan, who couldn't make it tonight, but he had mentioned I don't know if you guys are familiar with any of the brewery in California. Mm-hmm. Any of their bottle programs. Have you guys ever checked this out on their website before? They have like a release program, and there's different tiers. But Brandon, you're shaking your head. What do you know about these? Because I was looking at like what people are spending for membership in these societies, is what they call them.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah. I have some friends who are in these societies. One of my friends is part of the Research Society, does spend some money, and some other friends of mine are members of the Hoarder Society, which you can't just apply for. They have to invite you to it.
Wow. After you've been in like their other societies, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, okay, they're in that society, and they get access to some really awesome stuff. They get bigger allocations. I mean, my friend who's part of the horse society, he showed me he ordered 6 different variants of Sucre, and it was just that was pretty awesome. Like I said, it's pretty awesome. If you definitely, I mean, with that brewery, you really can't go wrong with their beer. So it's not a bad investment if you really like their beer. But it's also one of those things where you say, okay, is this something I want to do, and do I have the money to do it? And if I don't, well, I can split it with somebody, which is what a lot of people in the horror society do. They split the cost of the membership and stuff like that. So
yeah, that's it. You get a home brew club or some friends, and you join it and split it up.
yep.
That's a good idea. So do you do that, Matt, or have you?
I don't, only because I'm not a big fan of the brewery.
Really?
So yeah, they make some interesting things, but $23 for a bottle of sour, give me a break.
I agree.
That's two six-packs it goes. If I need something tart, I can get a Berliner Weiss for half that.
Yeah, I really do feel like a lot of breweries are kind of definitely overcharging, or definitely charging for more than the actual ingredients that they're putting into the beers based on either reputation or just what it's supposed to be, and the hype. It brings the price up enough. I don't know.
They should. I'll argue that they should. That's what every business should do. You don't price for the ingredients that it costs, and the people and the labor it costs. You price for what it's worth to someone else.
Right.
Otherwise, there's no point in doing it. That's the challenge of the business, is being able to make your beers something to get. Now, that's not a comment on the brewery with me. I've only had one of their beers. I can't even comment on it. But that's what they should be doing. They should be charging as much as they can. That means that they've created a product that somebody's going to like.
They are
somebody wants to, and you're only paying for it if you want to. You've been to Binny's. There's hundreds of beers. If you don't want it, you don't buy it, and then they don't make any money.
They're selling.
I have one of their beers. I have one in my closet right now. But I bought it.
Must have been the right price.
I had a gift card at Binny's, so I was like, "This is where I'm going to spend the $20 on one beer." So, I haven't even opened it yet, but we'll see in a year. But you're right. They should be doing that, and it's kind of like the Dark Lord thing. Like people are spending hundreds of dollars online for that beer, and they're drinking it like right out. They're drinking the 2014 now, and I see people on Google Plus. They're like, "This is crap. It's just sweet," and that's all Dark Lord is. Like people don't understand that it is like no hops. All malt. It is sweet as shit when it first comes out. You gotta let that shit age and hang on to that. But you're right. I mean, but they've made that beer like crazy expensive. On the black market, I should say. But the brewery's actually doing it with their on a retail level. Their pricing is higher than most.
So that makes sense. So that's how much their beer is worth, and they're getting the money for it. With the Dark Lord, that's how much their beer is worth. But your friend in LaGrange is making money off of it, not the people who are brewing it.
If they're doing it, because Three Floyds I don't know. They've got like internet ninjas that jump all over people. They'll like ban you from Dark Lord Day, or at least your IP address, if they find that you've posted anything to sell.
That makes sense too.
It does.
That makes sense too.
Yeah, they don't want to be cut out of it. The secondary market is that you're just coming to get this stuff. You're not going to enjoy it. You're just going to be greedy and get something for yourself. And a lot of breweries don't like that sort of thing for obvious reasons, because it's just, trading is not that big of a deal because you already paid for it. I mean, you're getting some good beer in return, and they encourage that sort of thing because, hey, if you trade with them and you trade our beer to them and they like what you sent, then when they come over here, they're going to buy beer.
Yep.
So we're going to get those profits, whereas somebody's on the secondary market, they're just buying the secondary market. Nothing goes to the brewery, nothing goes back to it, and there you go. You're just taking advantage of a brewery like that, and I don't really approve of it.
Yeah, you're not taking advantage of a brewery. You're not doing that with other products. Well, I mean, not regularly.
Yeah.
Clearly, there's other products that have a black market, but
yeah.
Right.
But you're not doing that with groceries. It's still stuff that's good, that's food. It's because you're paying the the price that you think it's worth already. So it's not worth going and selling a loaf of bread for another $2 to somebody else.
And it's because it's finite. Every one of us that do trading have that little brewery in your back pocket somewhere close by that makes a really desirable beer that you're willing to, the people in Vermont freaking love driving down to Waterbury and getting Heady Topper because they can send a 4-pack of it to California, and their $16 worth of 4-pack just got them $100 worth of Russian River. Because that's what people want. They want what they can't get, and Dark Lord is no different. So, Dark Lord people really do travel for Dark Lord Day. We've got people that drive in from all over the place that go to that.
I met a guy from Japan at Dark Lord Day one.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I remember that.
So there is some of that, but it really is kind of an interesting, like you said, the secondary market. As long as it getting into the secondary market isn't distasteful and isn't illegal, more power to it. The brewery's they're gonna brew so many bottles and they're gonna sell them for $20 a bottle, and as long as
what I don't understand is why some of those don't. Why don't they? If the Three Floyds were to come out and say, you know what, next Dark Lord, you can come and show up, but they're going to be $70 a bottle. You know what? You'd have a lot of people that would be disappointed, but I wouldn't fault them. They'd still sell all their bottles.
Yeah.
And they'd make the money. And it's not even about being greedy. That's what it's worth. If somebody's going to pay it, they're going to drink it, and they're going to be happy paying their $70 to get it. There's plenty of wine that costs that much. Why not? I wonder that when I'm there every year. Why is this so cheap? People are always saying, well, it's so expensive, you got to pay $60 for a 4-pack. It's not, though, because if I don't want it, there's 100 people who pay twice that as much for it.
Yeah. Well,
but Dark Lord is so huge now that it's not their moneymaker's probably not even the beer anymore. It's probably
No, but what I'm saying is it could be and maybe should be.
I agree. I know what you're saying. But that's probably why they
$150. You're going to make more money, and you're going to make just as many people happy. The people, every person that drinks a bottle, if you think is going to be happy, then you're going to make just as many people happy. You're not going to make more people upset.
Well, you're going to make
people that are a little more upset.
They sell probably more zombie dust on that day than any other day, as well as the Dark Lord. So, I think it's actually smart that they keep the price low because it keeps the crowd gets bigger every year. They've added groups to go inside as the years have progressed. So they're just getting more people that are getting into the festival. And now you don't even have to. Now you could buy a ticket and not even get the Dark Lord. You could go in there and spend your money on the food and the other beers as well. But they're making their money in different ways. But I think keeping the price of the beer itself down is probably a smart move for that one day. I think if they were smart and expanded enough, brew it on a regular basis and sell it for a nice, expensive price throughout the year. Other than
that's the way to do it is keep the price low on the day itself, but brew it year round and not on the day, and you can sell it for $70 or whatever per bottle.
Exactly.
And that brings our Pilsner show to a close.
Well, I was talking about the brewery program because I think that's a good way to make some money, because they sell their beers for such high prices. But I saw a story about a brewery in Minnesota that threw out one of those Kickstarters, and if you were able to spend $1,000 to help fund their brewery, you got free beer for life. As long as you go in, it's in-house. So if you go there to spend money, they said that they literally only get 14 people a day, but those people are coming in and they're buying food and they're buying after dinner drinks on top of that. So they're buying other things other than beer, and I think it's really smart. I think it's a really good idea.
Down in Austin or Dallas, I can't remember. We interviewed a co-op called Black Star Co-op, and it's a brewery that's co-op owned. So you buy a share of the brewery for $350 or whatever, and you're now part owner. You get discounts on the snacks from the kitchen, and you take ownership in the place. And you didn't get free beer, but you got access to the limited release. And I think Funky Buddha in Florida. If someone knows Funky Buddha better than me, but I think they sell a club membership for a couple $100 that gets you access to some of their special releases too.
Nice.
So
I think
now you're paying for the privilege of buying their beer, but I guess I spend money on dumber stuff than that in my life. So
I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
So I figured we should probably do some deconstruction and construction on the wheel here. So I have some ideas. What are your guys' thoughts on blending beers? Because we've done this once on the show at least, where I actually stole this idea, I think from Share a Beer. Somebody had this, and I had the organic chocolate and the strawberry, and I did 2 parts chocolate, 1 part strawberry, if I'm remembering correctly, and it was like a liquid chocolate-covered cherry.
What was the strawberry beer again? What was that?
They were both
Sam Smith's.
Yeah, Samuel Smith's.
You're talking about the mix between the organic chocolate and the organic cherry from Samuel Smith's.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an incredible combination.
Was that you, Skylar, that did that?
Yeah.
I remember.
Oh.
Proud to say I came up with that one.
I stole that idea, and I did that on the show probably last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's something we want to add on to the. I mean, because it could be considered blasphemy to put beers together, but a lot of, it's kind of going on. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? I've got the wheel here. We can. I think we should definitely add some
creative. Trying to look up what would be appropriate and good.
Put blended beer on there. I think that could give a lot of a lot of people think that's blasphemous. I think that's creativity, and that's what keeps craft beer going is creativity.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you, Scholar, but there are beers that are sold that are blended. I mean, it does happen.
Oh, yeah.
It's blended. I mean,
most sours
they're
are
almost all blended.
a lot of blend.
sours, it's just so. I mean, you can come into a blended beer show with a sour if you're just lazy.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking. I want everyone on the show to come up with their own blend. I don't want you to buy a blended beer. I want you to come up with your combination yourself and be creative.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess it can work.
Take a
I'm
Samuel
sorry
Smith,
that I'm asking you to buy an extra beer for the show, but
get a Samuel Smith's organic chocolate stout and mix in any kind of lambic or something, and you got yourself, chocolate covered cherry or chocolate covered raspberry. There you go. See, I'm just offering. Wait, and that's only if it comes up on the wheel.
Yeah.
Only if it comes on.
Damn it! Save those ideas.
All right, put it on the wheel.
let's come up with some more ideas then.
Smoke beers still on there?
We do not.
Oh, get some Achschenlikarla.
Let's do it.
We've gone through a couple of the geography ones lately. We'll probably add another one back.
So far, we still have West Coast style IPA. Anything from the state of Washington. That's the only regional stuff I see.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm thinking something else. I'm trying to think of something that would be approachable across the country here.
Have y'all ever put a cream ale on there?
We did not.
No, I don't think
That's
so.
funny. Because I just had a cream ale not too long ago. I had
Did you have that orange blossom one? I had that.
No, I had the Sweet Action from.
Hardywood Park. No,
Yeah.
Sweet Action is
6 Point.
6 Point. Yeah.
Yeah, Mike actually gave me that, which we now have in like the Red Bull size cans that they do.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah,
but
I've seen some.
the full pint, so that was a good one.
All right, we'll put New York beer on there then.
New York, huh?
Yeah, New York.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Having 6 points New York, right? That's what I was thinking.
Yep.
About.
Yeah.
Right.
Brooklyn.
We got a lot of choices in that regard. Then
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good one. New York's a good one.
we just added 4.
Any reason to drink Ithaca's flower power this time of year is worth it.
Really?
That's true.
Yeah, that's
Very true.
It's a very freshly made beer. It's delicious. Ithaca is underrated. Well, they're just under-distributed, I guess.
Well, their flower power one is at least. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, well, everybody's got a couple in their lineup that are duds.
Haven't had that one. All right, so we've added the new ones. We ready for a spin? I don't know if Skylar needs to have the drum roll going or not, but I like that touch actually.
If you're just gonna spin until you get something you like, why not just pick one?
I'm not doing it. I'm not tainted. Here we go. What are we landing on here?
Wild card.
Wild card.
Oh, I love it. I love the wild card.
That's what I needed today.
That's true.
Yeah, right. You're covered for next week, Kevin.
I'm looking forward to the cellar, man. I want to see what everyone's got what everyone's hanging on to.
You can use your year-old Coors Light.
Well, technically, I was gonna say, cellar beers are wild.
It would probably be better than the Belgian-style quad bock.
That was ridiculous.
I remember that atmosphere.
That was like some European brewery, right?
Yeah, from Latvia. Remember, we had to get some country that wasn't the United States and wasn't common. Basically, was the theme.
Yeah, how'd that work out?
Not well.
Yeah, we did a Japanese beer show one time, and people wanted to pretty much invade again.
Yeah.
All right, cool guys. Well, I appreciate y'all jumping on again this week, and so next week bring whatever you want. This is gonna be a fun show. I love it. The wild card's come up a couple times, and it's always been fun. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm gonna grab some more of this gin barrel-aged Pilsner.
Oh.
Kevin missed that. I'm sorry. This is the Pony Pilsner. It's the Pony from Happy, but it's gin barrel-aged.
No kidding.
Good. Yeah, it's amazing. On tap at the tap room, so anyone in Chicago, go get that shit. It's good. But anyways, we will see you next week on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central Time, as always. Matt, what's your show again on? It's Friday nights, correct?
Friday night, Craft Beer Nation's Friday night hangout. We're doing barley wines this week, 10 p.m. Eastern.
Nice. Ooh, sounds like a fun show.
I'm just gonna call off Saturday right now.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, any of our listeners or watchers, check out Craft Beer Nation on Friday nights. And anybody else want to mention anything? We good? I don't know if anyone else has any other things to promote. We are good. So, oh great, the cat just jumped like right in front of me. Almost knocked everything over. Well, cheers, guys. We will be drinking anything you want next week. So thanks again for joining, and cheers.